G'day people. My last cooking video I made a simple dish which was cheese rice. Today I'm going to make another simple dish which is bread. Now there's a million ways to make bread from a heap of different countries. You can make it flat, you can make it long, you can make it tall, you can make it thick, you can make it heavy, you can make it light. You can make it white, you can make it brown, you can make it in the middle, you can throw other stuff in. The sky's the limit, essentially. You can make it with yeast, without, with baking powder, etc. There's no limit. And I guess everyone that makes bread's probably got their own way of doing it. And I'm no exception, I've got my own way of doing it. So I like to make brown bread, but not too brown. So I make a mixture of brown and white, and I like it to be as easy to make as possible and as full of flavour as possible. So the extra brown gives you more flavour, and leaving some steps out makes it simpler and quicker. So I produce a heavy bread. My bread is heavy. I can't be bothered knocking it back and proving it again. And some of the stuff people go, the lengths people go to, like with sourdough, you know, 3 days to make a loaf. Bugger that for a joke. I want my loaf ready in 2 hours. So this is how I do it. Start with some flour. Alrighty, 4 cups of flour. Wholemeal flour first. 1, 2, 3, I heat them a bit, 4, and now the white. Now the great secret with making bread, if you've ever tried to make bread at home and had failures, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you've ever had failures at home, the main thing beginners do wrong, which is absolutely important, it is the secret, you have to use baker's flour. If you don't use baker's flour, if you use cake flour, your bread will never be any good. Doesn't matter what you do, it'll always be crap. But anyway, that's the big secret. So the next question is, where do you get your baker's flour? Well, sadly, in the moronic world we live in, you pretty much can't buy pure baker's flour from a supermarket. Sorry to say, you can get it from health food. I just use dried yeast, Fermipan yeast, because it's easy. I don't bother with this activating it first or anything. Sure, it might do a better job, but I'm interested in getting the job done quick. Bit of sugar, not too much. I mean, you don't necessarily need sugar at all, but I put a bit in and helps the yeast get moving. 4 salt spoons, heaped salt spoons. Right. Yeah, so where do you get your, and we just stir it around, where do you get your baker's flour? Well, you can buy it from a health food shop. It's very expensive, and may not be what you want. So I just get mine from a local baker, or just ask him to sell me a bag. So not all bakers are going to do that, but I guess a lot of bakers will, and just tell them, charge what you think's a fair price and I'll pay it. So you have to buy quite a lot, like 25 kilo bag of baker's flour. Quite a bit of flour, but that's the way it is. It'll last you a long time. Now, we've got the yeast, got the salt, got the sugar, got the flour. I add the water, which is warm. The other great thing, essential thing about making bread, It's all about keeping the yeast happy, so you've got to use warm water. So water should ideally be a bit warmer than blood temperature. I just get it out of the tap. Warm water out of the tap, hot water out of the tap, and don't get it too hot. If you want it too hot, you'll kill the yeast, but it's got to be hot-ish. So you should be able to put your hand in it, and it shouldn't be painful, but you should be definitely feel warm to hot. Now you just mix it in, get it going. Hang on, I don't want the watch. Mix it around to get it started. So I use just a bit less than a litre of water. So 4 cups of flour, which is a litre of flour if you like, and a litre of water. Oh, sorry. So it's a litre of each type of flour, litre of the white, litre of the brown. Now the fun part, get your hands in. You do need a big bowl for this, the bigger the better. So I can feel already it's very warm, this dough, very warm. Which is what you want, get the yeast going. And the idea is you just sort of mix it, make a dough and try to get all the dry flour off the bottom and into the dough. Yes, it's going to stick to your hands, but that's fine. Don't let it worry you. Don't let it worry you. It's all good. If you get it right, it'll all come off anyway. When the dough forms into a... See, already it's looking like dough, and I've done bugger all. Just mixed it around it. Now you knead it. You knead it. Once you've done this yourself, you go, God, how so bloody easy to make bread. Oh, I forgot. Don't forget to turn your oven on to the lowest possible temperature. So what you want to do is when you're proving the yeast, which is, when they say proving, what they mean is you're getting the yeast growing, yeast multiplying, yeast eating sugars from the from the sugar, the sucrose that you put in, and also from the starches in the bread itself. So it's already clean. It's not even really sticking to my hands much by this point. If you make it with a high percentage of water, a bit higher percentage of water than this, it will be stickier for longer. But eventually, unless you make it with really a lot of water, eventually it'll stabilise down and it'll stop sticking to your hands. Eventually. And I mean, maybe it's better to have a little bit more water than this, but whatever. This is the recipe. Add a tad more water, not much. If you want, if you put too much water in, it'll just be sloppy and sticky and stay that way for a long time. Alright. What we're doing is stretching the protein fibres out. And as they stretch out, they combine with the other protein fibres to make a network. And that network gives the bread body and bounce. So the wetter it is, the more you'll be able to knead it. But realistically, it's probably about enough by now. As I say, you can look at videos online of people going to amazing trouble with their techniques, especially the wet doughs, which are all the rage. Wet dough. Okay, you know. Knock yourself out if you want to go that route, make the really complicated bread. Go for your life. I wouldn't dream of stopping you, but I just can't be bothered. So, I've got this recipe that I do, which works for me, makes good tasting bread. Not the best looking bread maybe, certainly not the lightest bread, it's quite heavy, but I like it heavy. Alright, big sausage of dough, let's cut it in half, which I just measure it like that, halfway point. Is it even the halfway point? Maybe not, but anyway, who cares? Oh, you add some oil, bit of canola oil to the pans. Bit of canola oil, stop sticking. Bit in there. Bit in there, so it makes two. You get 2 loaves from this. So each loaf is 4 cups of flour. And I just spread it around. Bakers have told me you don't even need to do this, so they're probably right. But I do it anyway. Next you can go in there. Get your loaf, 1 loaf, 2 loaves. Just make them take up the thing. I turn them over so I get a coating of oil on the top and the bottom and the sides. Just like that. Put them in the oven. But don't cook them. Don't cook them. We just want to keep them warm. So I had it in the lowest possible setting. It just warmed up to maybe 40 degrees Celsius. Turn the heater off so you don't kill the yeast. Let them go. I'll come back in about 40 minutes. They should have doubled in size and they should be just about ready to cook. I'll come back. Okay, 40 minutes has gone past. Let's have a look at the loaves. Oh my God, it must be some kind of miracle. So I just put them back on top of the stove. Don't knock them about, we don't want to knock the air out and have to wait for them to prove again. So we just turn the heat up to 220 Celsius. This is a fan forced oven. In a non-fan forced oven you probably want a bit more like 450 or even possibly even 500 depending on how you like it. Take about 10-15 minutes to warm the oven up to proper temperature, and it's just a matter of popping the loaves back in and cooking them. So we're nearly there. So I'll just let them sit there on the stove top and rise a little bit more. Now this is where, if you're doing it properly, the way other people do it, usually they take the dough out, knock it back, and let it prove again. Some people let it prove, God knows, 3 times or whatever. Madness. Well, maybe not madness, that's the way they want to do it, but I like it easy, so I'll be back in 15 minutes and we'll put them in the oven. Alright, it's been 15 minutes, the oven's got up to temperature and the dough has continued to rise. Look at how big they are now. Anyway, just carefully put them in the oven, we don't want to knock them down. Now, it used to be 30 minutes in a non-fan forced oven, but I think in this oven more like 28, so we'll try that. See you in about 28 minutes time. Okay, it's been 28 minutes, let's pull them out and have a look. Look at that. How about that for a loaf? And same goes for that. Now what I do is I put them on a cooler, a cooling tray, and I put them top side down, because that way it leaves a very faint imprint of the lines and can be a good guide to help you cut your loaf. Anyway, let's taste it. Cut it open. Look at that. So it's got a very dense texture. It's not too dense. Dense texture. Heavy bread. Not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of bakers, bakery competitions, people give loaves first prize depending on how light they are, how much air they are. And you know, the rubbish bakeries in this world, like say Baker's Delight or Brumbies, they're full of air, bloody full of air, useless. And the worst, what's the worst bread? The worst bread in Australia? Helga's, full of air. You're buying air, garbage. Bugger that for a joke. I want to eat bread, you know, wheat. I want the taste of wheat. I want the body of wheat. I'll just put some butter on it, some cheese. I mean, I just have it just with butter, but I like a bit of cheese. Nice hot. Like you can't beat hot bread straight out of the oven, honestly. So let's put some of that on. Let's have a taste. No one else makes bread like this. This is the stuff. Mmm. Mmm. You put that in your mouth, you really know you're eating it. Well, it's sort of, texturally, it's a bit like a cake. Got the good flavour of bread, you know, the wheat flavour, with a crunchy outside, and the texture of a cake, a dense, heavy cake on the inside. Fantastic. May not be everyone's cup of tea, but I've been making my bread like this for 40 years. Oh, it's got to be more than 40 years. No, 40 years. 40 years I've been doing it. I haven't really changed the recipe in 40 years. Worked out how to do it, I just stick to it. So it was less than 2 hours from the time I started mixing the dough to now when I'm eating the bread itself. So all you people that spend days getting it perfect, mate, 2 hours I'm eating it. And this stuff, this heavy bread, it lasts really well, you know. Put it in the fridge, get 2 weeks. I eat it for 2 weeks. And the loaf that I don't put in the fridge, I put in the freezer. It freezes really well, really well. You can freeze it for a month. Pull it out, let it thaw. It's like day-old bread, fantastic. Yeah, and day-old bread, this bread, after a day, is still very close to as good as it was when you pulled it out of the oven. It takes a long time to go stale, probably because it's so dense. A long time to go stale. Really good. Lasts for a long time. Doesn't cost much. 2 hours to make 2 loaves. I wasn't even here for most of the time. Yeah, what more do you want? I love it. That's it, my bread.